Well, we'll jump on to UFC Fight Night, Moraes versus Sandhagen, which is definitely a big contender for fight of the night. That's a bold call because this one might not go very long. But, both those guys are impressive. Both of them guys are strikers. I'm just super excited to see this fight.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting fight. It's kind of got the whole Maldana vibe where you've got an established contender and someone on the rise who still needs to prove himself a little bit. So in this one, I'm picking Marias just because he did beat Jose Aldo officially anyway. Although a lot of people don't agree with it, he did beat him, and he's kind of got that championship medal. Whereas Sandhagen is true step up against Sterling. He got wiped out really quickly. So it's an interesting matchup. It's all about if Hagen can rise to that level, and where is he? Is he a rising star? Does he still have work to do, or is he a true contender? And I guess we'll find out. But Marlon Moraes is as legit as it gets, and if you beat him, you've cracked it.
Yeah, the interesting thing here for me is I think Sandhagen is probably the more technical striker and probably the more crisp boxer. And on paper, he sounds like the better striker, in my opinion. This is my opinion. But Moraes throws crazy stuff and he's a finisher. He finishes people all the time. He'll hit you with something you don't see coming. And so I think in this fight, that's going to be the X factor. Can Sandhagen survive those first few rounds where anything can put him out, After 2 rounds, this is a 5-round main event. After 2 rounds, I think Moraes is going to fade. I think after 2 rounds, Sandhagen should be able to just do whatever he wants and win out the last 3. But in those first 2 rounds, Moraes is going to come out there looking for the kill. And hey, you look at his record, he gets a lot. If it's through submission, if it's through knockout, he gets the finish. So it's a tough one for me to pick, but I think I will go Moraes as well, just because I think he's a finisher, whereas Sandhagen can finish people. But if he wins, I more likely see it being a decision win or a late TKO.
I think Sandhagen's kind of got to keep that distance for the first few rounds and just stay out of range and keep your head as high as possible because Moraes is going to be flinging legs up there. So just things like that. But it's a huge opportunity for Sandhagen because he's coming off the back of quite a disappointing loss to Sterling, and as good as Sterling is. He really did get beat quite easily, and everyone thought it to be a really competitive fight, and it weren't. So he's come straight back into another huge fight, and he's fighting someone who potentially could then could go for the title with the win. Because I know Sterling's waiting for that title shot, but the UFC just don't seem willing to give him it. So if Moraes beats Sandhagen here, I wouldn't be surprised to see him jump the queue. It's this is a huge fight, and it's Sandhagen's got it all to play for. He doesn't seem to have taken a step back from that loss. He's right back in the mix, and it's up to him to prove himself worthy of this position. But Moraes is a tough ask for anyone, and that's why I'm giving him the edge in this fight.
I like to think that the UFC has already booked that Sterling versus Jan fight, because Sterling hasn't really been speaking about it on social media, so you got to think, right, the silence tells more than words would. But if they haven't, and Moraes goes out here and finishes Sandhagen in 1, I think you can see a number 1 contender fight happening, because obviously Sterling's got that loss to Moraes. Moraes finished him with a knee and put him out. I think it was the second round, start of the second round. So if he gets an impressive win over Sandhagen, the UFC is going to want to make that fight. I guarantee it. Unless they've already made Jan versus Sterling, and then they won't. I don't think they're going to give Moraes a title shot off this. I think if he fights up, it'll be against Sterling, and I could see that happening, to be honest.
Yeah, that'd be a good fight as well. I do think Jan's due a defence before the end of the year, so hopefully Sterling is the guy who gets it. And as you said, he's been a bit quiet lately, and he's not really someone who tends to be quiet, so that might be a good sign, but hopefully it is. And this is a really fun fight, and I think whoever wins this fight is in a really strong position, and he probably only need one more win to get another title shot, so it's a huge fight.
Yeah, and in the co-main, we have Edson Barboza versus Makwan Amikani. Obviously, Edson, I think his last fight was at featherweight against Dan Ige, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a controversial loss. It was a close decision. Whereas Makwan, I can't remember who he fought last, but he came out and got a submission win and looked pretty impressive doing it. So this is an interesting fight because it seems on paper the striker versus the grappler, doesn't it? And Barboza's definitely gotten better at his grappling. He's looked pretty impressive, like on the ground when he fought Felder and they grappled for a little bit. He looked like he knew what he was doing. Looked like he was quite safe. Can he last on the ground with Amikani? That's another question. What do you think of this fight?
I think it's a huge fight, and Barboza just needs to win. Like he's been unlucky in his last 2 fights. They've both been split decisions, I think, against Paul Felder and Dan Ige. Mm-hmm. So I thought he beat Dan Ige the Paul Felder one was a bit closer, and at first I didn't like the drop to 145, but I think he looks good at it. He looks strong. He looks big. He looks everything. He took good punches against the guy as well. So, and he's been known to get hurt at lightweight. So maybe it'll help him. I think he needs to win. I think this is like sink or swim. He needs to beat Amir Khani. I don't think there should be anything. I think he should be a pretty considerable favourite as well. It's not like Amir Khani is one of the top contenders. Is he in the top 15? I'm not even sure.
Don't think so.
I think he needs to beat this, and I think he needs to make a statement win. Barboza's here. He's a true contender, and that's what's got to happen. Whereas Amir Khani will be looking to pick up potentially the biggest winners of his career. So it's huge.
Yeah, he'll be looking to build that name off Barboza. And if he does, if he's not in the 15 now, which I can't see here, but I don't think he is, if he's not, he definitely will be off this win should he get it. It just sucks for Barboza, in my opinion, because he came down to featherweight, fought Dan Ige, who was 11 at the time, I do believe, and he, in my opinion, won. And even if he didn't win, he looked fantastic. He looked incredible. So I don't know why they didn't give him another top 10 guy, because he can definitely get in there with them and mix it up. But we'll see how he does in this one. And like I said, it'll be a good showing for him at featherweight, see what he's capable of. Hey, there's another guy from your way fighting on this card. I saw his debut, Tom Aspinall, fighting Alan Baudot. I don't know anything about Alan Baudot. I don't know. Is he a debuter? There's no image next to him.
Yeah, I think Aspinall was meant to be fighting Spivak, who's just pulled out. So this is a late replacement now.
Right.
It's
you go.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say Aspinall looked really impressive in his first one. Came out and got a quick finish. So hopefully in this one he can do the same and start building his name.
I think that's what we're going to see. I think Spivak would have been more competitive, but in terms of UFC debut, I'm obviously rooting big time for Tom Aspinall, but he had one of the easiest touches you can ever hope for. Jake Collier, if you don't remember, he's a middleweight, he come into heavyweight, and he looked like, they just pulled him from a burger shop or something like that. So without being disrespectful, he is a middleweight. That's where he should be fighting. And it was an easy debut, and it only gets harder from here. So Aspinall, it's a nice touch, and it was nice to I think he even got a bonus for that as well. So it's a nice easy 50k, but they're gonna get harder. This guy on a late replacement, he's gonna be a tougher fight, and I do expect Aspinall to knock him out, and then there's going to be tougher fights after that. But he seems game. He's got the power. He's got everything you want. So it's going to be fun watching his rise and seeing how far he can go with it.
Yeah,